Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Well, what a difference a year makes, Deputy Speaker. Australia has just witnessed its biggest jump, in fact, a leap in the World Economic Forum rankings for gender equality, going from 43, a middling 43 out of 146 countries, embarrassing for one of the wealthiest countries in the OECD, to now 26 in the world. This has been driven by several indices, but principally by political empowerment. You see, the gender equality ranking is made up of various indicators, and they are economic participation and opportunity, educational attainment, health and survival, which is very good in Australia, as you know. Women have a life expectancy of around 83, 84 years. But political empowerment and representation is where we lagged behind. Last year, we were 50th out of 146 countries. This year, we are 29. And in doing so, we have raised our country's entire profile up 17 places. So what does political representation actually mean? It means a government that is now female-dominant. We have, for the first time in Commonwealth history, 53% representation of women. As my colleague, the member for Reid, who is sitting next to me, said, that the House of Representatives is finally living up to its namesake, and that is long overdue, but it's happened. It didn't happen, however, by accident. This happened due to intentional policies that were initially flagged by the Labor Party, indeed under Keating, around 30 years ago. And a decision was made due to the abysmal representation of women back then that we needed quotas. Now, quotas were debated, they was hotly contested, but in the end, we landed it and we decided to go with quotas. And our aim was a modest 50%. That's all we aimed for, 50%. We're not ambitious. We're not asking too much. We said, let's set a target, 50%, even representation, not really expecting us to get there. And what has happened in 2023, we have sailed past parity and we are sitting at 53%. But, you know, again, we don't aim for too much. Turns out our cabinet has the highest representation of women in Commonwealth history as well. 10 out of 23 cabinet members are women, sitting at 43%. Why is that important, you may ask? Why does it matter? Is this not some sort of lefty woke agenda? Why can't we just forget about women? Well, apart from the small fact that women make up 51% of our population, they also happen to live longer than men. So, you know, as you get older, it's going to be skewed towards women. There's a bulge in that sense. Having women at the table improves the quality of the decision-making. And in a peak decision-making body like this place, that matters, because the decisions that are made or the decisions that are not made have repercussions across millions and millions of people, from girls to adolescents to women. So I am proud to say that we are a government that is hardwired to focus on women's economic attainment as well as representation. And there's a range of interventions that we have introduced, from $4.7 billion in childcare, the largest on-budget spend in our October budget. Now, why did we do that? Why does childcare matter? Doesn't really matter, doesn't it? I mean, isn't it just middle-class welfare? Isn't that all we hear from those opposite? Childcare is infrastructure. We regard it as critical social infrastructure and economic infrastructure, I might add. Why? Because it brings a triple dividend, both to the mother, to the baby, as well as to our economy. Leaving the talent of women on the table is talent wasted. And in this environment, when businesses are crying out for workers, no government would be sensible in ignoring that cohort of 51%, which is why we pumped $4.7 billion into childcare, which is why we also realise that this sector is in need of reform, and we have tasked the Productivity Commission to look further into how we can make it more efficient and more equitable so that everyone benefits from it, including those who live in regional communities where there may not be that many childcare centres. In addition to this, we have invested in paid parental leave. This was a proud Labor government legacy introduced by Julia Gillard in 2011, and we have expanded it by an additional 2 weeks in order to then bring it up to 6 months by 2026. Why, again, does this matter? What does it matter, having paid parental leave? Well, paid parental leave matters because those gendered norms that box men in as homemaker and women in, I've got that wrong, box men in as breadwinner and women in as homemaker, wouldn't it be nice to have that flipped around, start in the early days when baby comes home. And they entrench and they persist. And what it means for the mother is that mothers do not go back to full-time work. And so you end up with a divergence in pay and economic inequity, which persists for that mother's entire working life. And that brings me to the next point of our gender pay gap. Our gender pay gap has stubbornly sat at 14.1%. And this is largely driven by the care economy, which is a feminised industry. It includes nurses, teachers, social workers, childcare workers, aged care workers, and much of our workplace relation reforms are focused on levelling that field and boosting the pay of these female-dominant industries. Now, you may think that this is some sort of, I don't know, kind of, again, a lefty agenda. It's about the economy. And to quote, who was it? Was it Clinton or Reagan? I forget. It is about the economy, stupid. We have to get on with it. We have to level the playing field because we cannot afford to let women fall behind. But we're not stopping there, Deputy Speaker. We have also made the gender pay equity an object of the Fair Work Commission. We are focusing on modernising our workplaces by zeroing in on sexual harassment. That belongs to another era, the era that the Australian people slammed the door on May 22nd last year. And we have implemented all the recommendations of the Respect at Work report, or these are well on the way. In addition to this, we are making gender pay parity an object of peak research organisations such as the NHMRC, the National Health and Medical Research Council, a body that funded me once upon a time when I was a young mother undertaking a PhD. This is incredibly important. Of course, we should be bringing up some of our most gifted, brightest women and ensuring that they attain research parity with their male counterparts, because goodness knows they've got enough barriers to contend with. We are also investing in housing, social and affordable housing for women and key workers like nurses, because these people we cannot afford to live without. And it is a shame, Deputy Speaker, it is a shame, in fact a disgrace, that a bill that is currently in the Senate that addresses the acuity of the housing crisis is currently being blocked by the Liberals and the Greens, who have teamed up with One Nation. When you are voting with One Nation, you are already on the wrong side of history. On the wrong side of history. Goes down like a bucket of vomit in Higgins, I can assure you. But we're not stopping there, Deputy Speaker. We have also established the Women's Economic Equality Task Force, which comprises of 13 eminent women who are providing independent advice to the government. And that is ongoing. We've also committed a record $1.7 billion to a national plan to end violence against women and children. Again, why does that matter? It is one of the most potent drivers of homelessness in Australia. Women experiencing domestic violence, and men are highly invested in this issue as well. So, Deputy Speaker, we have some way to go, but we have really come a long way in 1 year, and we're not going to stop there. Thank you.